Wheel spacers. They're an easy way to make your car a little wider if you want them to look cool. Want your tires to poke a little bit more.
Or, in my case, it helps you clear suspension parts after putting tires that are way too big for your car on your car.
It might be kind of obvious why people would be a little bit afraid of them, because if it breaks, your wheel's falling off, and that's kind of dangerous.
So today we're going to talk about some of the differences in types of wheel spacers and whether they're dangerous or not.
There are two main types of wheel spacers. This is the kind you'll see more often. We've got 4 holes to mount the wheel spacer to the car, and then 4 studs on the wheel spacer itself to mount the wheel to the spacer.
So the second type of wheel spacer that we're going to talk about today is this one minus the holes to bolt it to the hub directly and then the wheel separately. It just does it all in one package basically. There's only 4 holes, only 4 sets of threads, and it goes directly to the car here with the wheel on this side of it. This big old lug nut, or lug bolt, it's enormous as you can see. It's just there straight to the hub, and it's like kind of sketchy because it's a lot of leverage on one lug nut. We've brought in the scientific equipment here, stick from the yard. This is kind of what creates the fear around getting spacers, especially if you're off-roading, is that it widens your car, therefore increasing the leverage on all of your parts. Let's just say this is a regular setup of a spindle, all the stuff your wheel attaches to. Pretty short here. This is hard to break. Like, you can't get too much leverage on that. Like, obviously it bends a little because it's a stick, but you get the idea. The farther you move it out, this is a spacer on it now. You can just easily, it just bends around. In reality,
really disappointing.
I thought this was a very breakable stick, but there you go.
So the general consensus among a lot of people is that adding width is going to create more leverage every time you hit a bump and just creates something that could potentially break. And in theory, that kind of makes sense, but
It does.
In practice, they're actually very strong.
We have very light cars too, keep that in mind.
If you look at what this is made of and how it's manufactured, this one, disregarding this one for just a sec, this is just a chunk of milled aluminum. The wheel itself is most likely going to be made of an aluminum alloy or a sheet steel for you guys that run Steelies. This is probably going to be stronger than the wheel. So if we're thinking about failure points, this just probably isn't going to be one.
On the other hand, this is not a solid aluminum chunk. It was probably milled out of a solid aluminum chunk, but this is very poor manufacturing. This is really weak structure all up along here. Really, it's kind of not that great. The holes are not really centered, like they barely fit. The tolerances are huge, and it's overall just weaker. But to prove the point that spacers aren't really that dangerous, using these spacers, we went out and bashed them a bunch of times with my Bug on some pretty hard stuff. Run the clips.
Wheel spacer test number 1. This ledge is about 4 or 5 inches tall. This little ledge is 3 or 4 inches tall. And he's gonna hit it and see what happens. Oh, that sounded a little violent.
That's a good size rock. We'll just mash that and not break anything. Oh, it's not bad from this side.
Oh, yes it is. What the heck?
You just caught air. Just kidding. Okie dokie. Here's that ledge again. It's always violent. And then I'll just do this and then just steer it right across the road to prove also that these really janky, poorly machined things work really good.
Yeah, we're putting like about as much stress on. Yeah, I don't know. I think a ball joint's gonna break before one of these things does.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, this spacer is one of the ones I use on my Volkswagen Cabrio. For you non-Volkswagen guys out there, that's just a Golf, which is just a small hatchback. And the reason I actually run these spacers is because the outer diameter lug pattern is actually slightly larger. So these inner ones are a 4x100, which is what Volkswagen run. And these ones on the outside are 4x108, which is what Ford, so like the Ford Focus, Ford Fiesta, cars like that. And the reason I am using these is because the wheels I use on my Cabrio, I got an awesome deal on them. And they're the Ford Focus wheels that look really cool and really motorsport. We've taken that car on thousands upon thousands of miles worth of road trips. I personally have taken it all the way to North Dakota and back, and we did a big road trip this last summer where we took it all the way to Sonoma, California and back, and we never had any kind of issues with these. They were strong the whole time. We never had any issues with wheels loosening, nothing like that. Now, the thing that did eventually fail on that car was actually the ball joint. We'll show you the picture of that, but so to be completely honest, I'd be way more worried about ball joints, suspension, and wheels and lug nuts than I would be about spacers, because they're really not failure points.
Overall, I think it's pretty safe to say that as long as you have a decently light car, spacers are pretty safe. I'm pretty sure my front end of my Bug has caught air and been hit very hard, and there's no damage on the spacers or anything else. Generally, and take this information if you have a light car, I don't know too much about it with heavier vehicles like pickups and things, but on things that are generally under the Cabrio's,
It's about
2,600?
2,800 pounds.
2,800 pounds. And it's a road car. We've bashed a lot of potholes with it, and it was totally good. So under 3,000 pounds, I really don't have a reason to say they are not safe as long as you use them correctly.
That's going to be Miatas, Civics, anything from Volkswagen, anything like that.
So yeah, there you have it. Let us know if you've had failures, if you've had, and let us know whether it was a manufacturing defect or genuine, just absolute stress failure. We want to know, because so far from everything we've heard, they're pretty safe.
As always, disregard everything we say because we don't know what we're talking about. This has been Rico Racing. Thank you for watching and have a great day.